So let's take a look at some of the things that can go wrong. We've already mentioned anemia, so this is not having enough red blood cells. Again, oxygen carrying capacity is reduced, which then causes fatigue as the main symptom, as well as cold intolerance and obviously paleness on the individual. That lack of oxygen is not available for ATP and heat production, hence the fatigue and cold intolerance. There are different types of anemia. It can be because you're deficient in iron. There's something called pernicious anemia. It's a lack of something called an intrinsic factor that affects B12 absorption. B12 is necessary for red blood cell production. You may be anemic simply because you lost blood. It may be because the cells that are being produced, they are defective in some way, which causes them to rupture. That's called hemolytic. There's thalassemia, which is a hereditary deficiency of hemoglobin. There's aplastic. This is the destruction of bone marrow. So again, that's the site of blood cell formation. So if we destroy it, you can't make as much. And then there's also sickle cell anemia. So basically, sickle cell anemia is a mutation that causes a change in shape of the red blood cells. Instead of having this nice biconcave disc, they now have this sort of crescent moon-like shape. Because of this shape that they have, they can sometimes block blood vessels. They don't transport oxygen as efficiently. So they can also cause things like blood clotting, increased chance of strokes. It tends to be found in regions of the world where malaria is present. So sickle cell anemia has arisen in a number of different places on the planet. Mostly these were areas, some African areas, Mediterranean areas, India, Middle East, areas, again, that had high rates of malaria. Because of the way that the malaria parasite reproduces, it by having these sickle cell red blood cells, not all, but some, if you're heterozygous for it, where you have, not all of your red blood cells are sickle cell, but just a portion of them, it disrupted the parasite's reproductive cycle. So it meant that people were less susceptible to getting malaria as an illness. So that seems why it's found across the world. So it does seem to confer some sort of a benefit, at least in the past, for individuals, although it comes at a great cost as well. And this is just showing you that you can either, if you have parents who are heterozygous, meaning carry a single gene each for sickle cell anemia, the child might either be normal, may have the trait, or has full-blown sickle cell anemia. And that this one, when you have this homozygous for the sickle cell trait, is much more dangerous and deadly. All right, so just very quickly, don't worry about this slide at all. I just wanted to show you that blood cell formation is actually very complicated. There's lots of different branching patterns, lots of different signaling hormones that affect development of whether it's red blood cells or white blood cells. And so we're just touching on these superficially, but you're going to get like some important foundations to all this. So if you're ever interested or go further into PhD or into immunology, you'll learn all about all of these different signaling hormones and how they influence blood cell formation. Let's just talk about a couple of fun things. I don't know if you guys watch anime, but first of all, this is called Cells at Work. That's an image that you've been seeing for this chapter or this module. Fantastic anime. Cannot recommend it highly enough. It is a fun way to study. Actually, it's super accurate with the anatomy and as it describes the role of red blood cells and white blood cells and even platelets. So your homework is to watch some anime. I don't know. You should. It's a good one. You know how we have our different zodiac signs in Japanese sort of culture? They determine some of those like traits based on blood type. Again, you don't need to know this for an exam. I just thought it'd be kind of fun since we're talking about blood. And you may have heard of some things out there in media about a blood type diet, that if you are a certain blood type, you should consume this kind of meal to be healthier. It is, as this image indicates, garbage. There is no scientific evidence for that. It is a whole bunch of pseudoscience. So watch out for that. Okay. As with anything, if you have any questions, please let me know.